Hmm? Ah! Oh.
She likes cheese.
What?
Well, I'm not saying it's the key to her heart, but Buffy, she likes cheese.
That's a start.
She has a stuffed piggy named Mr. Gordo. Loves ice capades without the irony. And she's dragging me to this party tonight at Lowell House.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Still Slaying, a Buffyverse podcast. I'm Penny.
And I'm Sam.
And I'm Kara. For this episode, we're going to be discussing Season 4, Episode 7 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, titled The Initiative, written by Douglas Petrie and directed by James A. Contner.
This episode originally aired on November 16th, 1999, to an audience of 3.5 million households. Some alternative titles in other languages for this episode were Schemes in the Basement in
I love
French.
that.
It's fantastic. I kind of want to write a whole separate story with that title. And The Patrol of the Night in Italian. Somehow the Italians make it a little bit romantic.
Yeah.
November 1999 was a great time in my life, so let's revisit it.
Woohoo! Oh, man. The number one song in the U.S. is Smooth by Santana, featuring Rob Thomas. Again, clearly had us in a chokehold. And the number one song in the UK at this point is She's the One, or It's Only Us by Robbie Williams. The best-selling books for the New York Times bestseller list have still not changed. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling is still number one in fiction, and Tis by Frank McCourt is still number one in nonfiction. And then in the US box office, number one is Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. Is that how you say that?
I have no
Mewtwo.
idea.
Yes, it is.
Number
Don't ask
two.
me how I know.
Number two is The Bone Collector, and number three is Dogma. I like Dogma. That was
I
a
love
good
Dogma.
movie.
What a great movie.
Yeah.
Bone Collector still lives rent-free in my mind. I will never forget that taxi scene where she gets into the taxi cab and
Do I
she
need to watch
realizes
that movie?
That's Angelina Jolie. It's a pretty good. I want to say it's Morgan Freeman, but I could be wrong. He had a bunch of movies that were
Interesting.
similar to this, but like I remember still 15 watching this movie, probably not the best, but I remember like getting into the cab, like she gets into the cab and then he's going the wrong way, and then she tries to open the cab door to get out, but the doors are locked.
Dun, dun, dun.
Uh-oh.
You can only open them from the outside.
I have been in that situation, and it's terrifying.
Oh my god.
I think my family went to see Dogma on Thanksgiving Day that year.
That is awesome.
We
Like the Pilgrims.
once we no longer had little kids in the family, we started doing a movie on early in the day on Thanksgiving, like before we had our big meal. And then we always did a movie on Christmas Day, like later in the day after we'd done all the Christmassy stuff.
Okay.
And choosing the movie was always a little political in the house. But I don't think the entire family went, and I think we chose Dogma. And I remember my older half sister was particularly excited about the person who plays God in it. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but she was really, really excited about that. She thought that was like the cleverest casting in the world.
I mean,
26 years
it
later.
is pretty damn good.
Yeah. There are so many things about that movie that are great. Alan Rickman is great in it.
Oh,
so
Ben
good.
and Matt being Ben and Matt together, like nobody ever gets tired of their friendship.
Peak Ben and Matt, I feel like
Yeah.
other than Good Will Hunting, this I enjoy a little bit more.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's a more fun movie. Good Will Hunting is a little bit serious, so
Not so
Dogma
fun.
is just really a lot of fun. And Jason Lee is in it, and what's the name of the woman who's the lead? Is it can't remember her name, but she was in one of my favorite neo-noir films too, and I can't remember that either, so I'm going to stop
Linda
talking about it.
The brunette?
Yes. Yeah. She
I was looking up who
and
God
she was
was.
in Men in Black. She was the coroner in Men in Black.
Yes.
That's right.
She has a great dry delivery that I really enjoy.
So good.
Also happening on this day in 1999, Dr. Dre releases his second studio album, The Chronic, 2001. Iconic. And then during the week, on November 15th, 1999, the US and China reached a landmark trade accord agreement, which reduced Chinese tariffs and gave American banks and insurance and phone companies more room to operate in China. In return, the US agreed to support China's entry into the World Trade Organization.
This didn't age well, huh?
Well, yeah.
Well, I should say the US didn't age well.
That's upsetting.
Just a smidge.
Also on the 15th, engine problems forced Japanese officials to blow up a rocket carrying a $95 million satellite minutes after launching. It is the second time in a year that a Japanese orbiting attempt has failed. That's sad. That's a lot of work and money that
someone got fired.
A lot of money.
November 18th, in College Station, Texas, 12 people are killed and 27 injured at Texas A&M University when a massive bonfire under construction collapsed.
I remember this. This was awful. I was in
I have
sixth
no memory
grade.
of this.
I remember
So it's done every year before the UT, University of Texas A&M game. It happened. I think it was a tradition that was almost 100 years old. Like they did it for almost 100 years. And being in Texas, obviously, it was all over the news. My social studies teacher in sixth grade had graduated just a few years earlier, and her little sister was killed that day. And she found out in our class. And it's one of those flashbulb memories that I kind of wish I could forget, but it was a very big deal. It was just really, really tragic.
Those are hashtag Southern stories.
Do they not do the bonfire anymore?
I don't think they do. If they do,
it's too bad because it's possible to do bonfires safely and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it sounds like this one was not being run very well. Like whoever was in charge of this bonfire didn't really put it together
students
correctly.
Run. It was always student run.
Yeah.
And it was just there are a couple of documentaries about it. It's a morbid fascination of mine.
Well, it makes sense. You have a personal connection.
But it's just awful. They may still do. I don't really know much about A&M anymore. They may still do bonfire. They probably do it a little bit differently now.
Back to our earlier theme of China and space. On November 19th, China launched its first Shenzhou spacecraft, Shenzhou 1, in an uncrewed flight. That must have been so painful for the Japanese who had just had to blow up a rocket to be like, oh, China's good.
Always get along. I don't know what you're talking
about. What a peaceful history between those two countries.
There's no rivalry there. What are you talking about?
So before we get into our main discussion, I just want to take care of a little housekeeping, and that is that we are going to be on hiatus for a few weeks. I am going on a big adventure and have decided not to bring my podcasting equipment with me because I'm trying to travel at least a little bit light. And if you are interested in seeing photos of my travels, follow me on Instagram. My Instagram profile is public. And it's Penny S. Lennox. And I welcome your comments and questions on my Instagram page.
Enjoy. You're going to have so much fun.
That's going to be so fun.
I'm so excited for you. It's just well-deserved, well-earned, and you're just going to have a blast.
I'm very, very excited about it. Once I've reached the part of packing and planning where it's starting to get stressful or has already gotten stressful. And I'll be really happy when I get to the other side of that. And once I'm on the plane, it'll all be like, whatever's in my suitcase is what made it on the suitcase. Like I'm on my way.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like to bring up to people like travel anxiety is pretty normal. Just remind yourself you're not going to Mars. Like, you know, like short of like I don't know, they have better healthcare internationally, but like short of like very hard to obtain medications, you will be able to find a toothbrush or you know whatever you need when you get to where you're going. And now the airports nowadays sell a lot of stuff,
Yeah,
so
and
it's
they
okay.
most amenity kits, even in
Yeah.
economy, have toothbrushes now.
Yeah.
So
So it's
that's
like you
handy.
can like, you know, because the anxiety tends to come with like what's gonna get in the way? What did I forget? What did like it's like just sort of remind
Yeah.
yourself is you're not going to Mars, you're going to a populated area at least, or at least the airport will have stuff for you.
Yeah.
My anxiety comes from looking at the little flight tracker and seeing that we're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
So
fun.
I should stop
Ew.
looking at that.
Yeah.
I
I'll
had
be
that.
over the Pacific, but
Nice.
similar. Yeah.
I had that
It's
too, and had a very brief thought of, why don't I just pack a parachute? And I'm like, to do
what?
what? Like to float in the like I mean, because I was like,
You might as well pack one of those inflatable rafts. Like,
right.
I know.
I was like, because like that was a thought that like wandered in, and then immediately my therapist brain was like, to do what?
Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
hold on.
yeah. Better to
You
pack a Xanax than a parachute.
That's
exactly.
true.
I
Oh,
think
that reminds me. I need to ask my doctor about some Xanax for my flight.
Yeah, because Kara is also going to have an adventure while we're on hiatus.
Yep.
So,
Just a little bit of a shorter adventure.
a shorter adventure, but
just
Yep.
also an
me
adventure.
me
When is
hiding.
your adventure, Sam?
Yeah. Mine is going to be at the end of May. I'll be going to Zurich first,
Sweet.
and shout
I
out to
love
the
Zurich.
Swiss man. Like that was the easiest ticket I'd ever booked, and I'm bringing my cat, and they were like on it.
Are you
That was the
flying Swiss Air?
I am
They
yes.
give you
Yeah,
chocolate. That's one of
it's
my
nice.
like
Yeah,
the Swiss chocolate is so good.
That's it. I have to move to Sweden at this point. Like I was so happy
yeah.
and like booking it so because there's really no direct flight from Boston to Naples, so
Mm,
just
Oh,
gonna
yeah. It wouldn't
that
be.
makes sense.
yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna go to Zurich. I definitely like the chocolate, so I'm gonna go
The
there
Zurich
for 2 days.
airport is really nice too. I had a
To
9-hour
see.
layover there at one point, so
Wow.
I explored and bought a couple of duty-free purses.
I
Nice.
mean, they
It's
seem
great.
very efficient, so I liked that. And just yeah, I'm gonna hit you girls up on how to do the cell phone traveling thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only thing I
So
really need to
excited.
focus
I'm
on.
Hell
all
But
yeah.
over it.
yeah, from there to Naples, I'm gonna go to the Amalfi Coast for a bit,
Oh,
and then come back.
you're
It's
gonna
so
have so
beautiful.
much fun.
I'm so excited, and I'm bringing Loki so I can put the
Aw,
Amalfi Coast.
Yeah.
I like it.
But
That's so
yeah,
exciting.
so we all have plans coming up, and while these two rock stars are away, it's just gonna be me all by myself. I'm kidding. I'll be living vicariously through you lovely ladies. I'm
It's
very
gonna be
Oh
excited for you
great.
guys.
man.
Uh, before we get into our main discussion, or actually, in order to get into our main discussion, Kara always puts a quote at the beginning of the discussion, sort of to get us in the mood, and I happen to have a sound clip of it, so I think we'll just play
Yay!
that.
Don't drink it. It's drugged.
Oh,
Uh-huh. Who are you, mate?
I'm a rat. I'm a lab rat, just like the others. They're gonna kill us, you know.
Well, how are they gonna do that?
Well, they starve you. And when you're ready to bite your own arm, they shoot out one of those packets. You drink, and the next thing you're gone. And that's when they do the experiments.
And they are? The government? Nazis? A major cosmetics company?
Who cares? All I know is 1 minute I'm running from the Slayer, and the next thing I'm here.
The Slayer! I knew it! I knew it!
Yeah. She took apart my crew and led me straight to these guys.
Set me up too. I always worried what would happen when that bitch got some funding. Wised up a bit. Fine! Take her apart. I don't care how brilliant she is.
I love that so much.
Such a
So
great quote.
I always worried what would happen when that bitch got some funding. Is so funny.
That is some epic writing. I love it. I love it.
It's important to point out that neither of them was set up by Buffy. Like, that one guy
Yeah.
ran away and she was like, let him go. And she didn't know Spike was on the roof, like, monologuing when the soldier guys got him. Like, come on.
Spike.
I like
I am
even
really
when
glad.
he's mad at her. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I love his obsession with Buffy, and you can see later in the episode when he brings her up, Harmony rolls her eyes like, oh, here we go again. Like, he cannot let go of Buffy.
Because he likes her.
I'm excited that we are done pretending we don't know that Riley is in the initiative.
I know.
Finally.
Thank God that it's... I don't know if... It's funny, the title is The Initiative, but I don't know if it's called that in the episode. I think that's just the title. I don't think they ever say it.
Yeah.
But it's nice
we don't
to know
have
he's
a live
soldier.
Steve this week because Steve's out of town.
Exactly.
To hear a mic drop if there is one.
There you go.
But Spike, of course, he's trapped in these I love the clinical, like, bright lighting.
Yeah.
Everything is white atmosphere of the cells at the initiative with the glass front doors. It just really does make them look like lab rats. And I can understand why a vampire, the other vampire who's been there longer, like, stuck in that environment would be like, I'm just a rat now. Like, that would mess with my head. I'm so sensitive to light. Being in that kind of bright light all the time would drive me crazy because I am half vampire. And Spike, of course, manages to escape because he is the cleverest of all the clever vampires. And his escape scene is so great because first he lets that other guy out, and then he just happily sacrifices him to get himself out. It's so funny.
New plan.
Yeah, new plan. I think he kind of was planning that all along. Like, sure, you'll be another target for them, and I liked
he's
how
smart enough to think
like
that.
The attention to detail. Like, one of the things that stood out to me in those scenes was they made his lips be very dry and chapped to highlight his hunger, and I thought that was just really clever, like, just like a nice little detail to bring in of like, this is on purpose, like they're starving them and stuff. So I did wonder because we find out later in the episode that he'd already had the chip implanted in his brain. And what were they drugging him to do then?
I don't know. Run some kind of experiments on him?
Yeah,
that would be my guess.
Like,
experiment on him.
Like, do vampires really burn in the sunlight? Do vampires, like, what makes their fangs come out? Can we stimulate their fangs with electricity? Like, I don't know. I'm not a mad scientist, so I don't really know, but I'm sure there's lots of things you could think of to do to an unconscious vampire.
Yeah. None of them great.
No, it's even though it's a vampire, even though it's Spike, I'm still like, oh, that's gross.
I know.
Experimenting on.
Well, they can feel pain.
Yeah.
Like, if something can feel pain, then let's just not mess with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like at least when Buffy, well, she usually beats up the vampire first, but like she stakes them. Done. Clean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Finished.
She doesn't torture them.
Yeah, she's not a torturer. But I enjoyed Spike's escape, and of course I was so excited to see Harmony again.
I know.
When the camera shows her and she's like putting that like little girl style unicorn poster up in the lair. God. And then sort of panning around the lair, what she's done to it. She's got like these beautiful silk drapes over the bed. And she's got one of those room divider screens that you always see like Hollywood actresses have in old movies that with all of her clothes, like glamorous clothes hanging off of it. And she's made the lair as sort of girly and comfortable as an underground lair could be.
Yep.
And it's very Harmony, and she looks fantastic as usual. She's so gorgeous. Yeah. And then, you know, Spike is like the ultimate abusive boyfriend in that scene.
So horrible to her.
He's so mean, and she is such a pick-me girl.
Spike, is that really you?
It's me, baby. Your man is back.
Bastard! You dumped me and staked me and hurt me and left me.
I know, sugar, but you're forgetting one other thing I did. I missed you.
Really?
Okay.
Ugh.
So
I mean,
manipulative.
And she's like, she forgives him so quickly because Harmony, for all of her beauty and her power of being a vampire, has really garbage self-esteem.
Yeah.
And she's like, she takes Spike back in a heartbeat. And he does not waste a lot of time until he becomes a jerk to her again.
Just don't ever do that to me again.
Oh, never, my little foam latte. Your blondie bear is here to stay.
Well, where have you been? No, wait, don't tell me. I'm just glad you're back. And this time it's for good, right?
Oh, forever and ever, mon petite creme brulee.
Ooh, Italian.
Oh, yeah. And get used to it. Big Daddy's home. We're gonna go wherever you want, do whatever you want, kill whoever you want. Starting with the Slayer. And after that, it's all you and me. My little mentholated pack of smokes.
That's my favorite.
I know.
That's my favorite too. I was like, oh, I think I only need to capture what he says creme brulee in the sound clip. And then I was like, nope, mentholated pack of smokes.
Why would you smoke mentholated smokes?
Because he's Spike and he's obnoxious.
I know.
It's like, if they were human, their relationship would, I mean, it'd still be entertaining, honestly, but it would not be as entertaining.
Yeah, because I'd actually care about Harmony being hurt.
Like the abuse, the fact like she was wearing the Gem of Amara when he staked her, making her immortal, like that does throw, you know, a twist on everything. But I absolutely love watching them together.
They're so funny.
It makes Oz's departure much more bearable that we immediately then get Spike back.
Yeah.
It's also a lovely counterpoint to Riley's gentle courtship of Buffy, right? He's like, I want to know what she likes so I can start a conversation with her. Like, yes, he's all
so
men,
nice.
Any men who might be listening to this. I don't know if we have male listeners, but I mean, aside from the couple that we absolutely know we have.
Yeah.
This
and
is
love.
How to do it. If you like a girl, if you're interested in a girl or a woman, find out what she's interested in and talk to her about that. Yeah. That is a really good way to get a woman interested in you.
Well, the fact that he gives a
cheese.
Ow, cat! Oh my god! Sorry, he just
sounded like you had
clawed. I know he just clawed the hell out of my leg. I know.
What
I'm
just
sorry.
happened there, girl?
He was reaching. He was stretching up and got his claw into my shin. Anyway, what the heck was I? Oh yeah, the fact that he cares. It's because I cursed. Captain Jack was reminding me that we need to bleep that out. Okay, you stay right there. Okay, so the fact that he cared enough about her interests is nice because he's not doing it in a manipulative way. He actually wants to find something to connect with her on. And I'll be honest, I love that Willow, the only thing she gives him is like, Buffy likes cheese.
Yeah.
That's it. But if a guy started Rufus. Okay, we're all just gonna calm down now. But
Rufus is like, that's right, cheese is great.
I know, yeah. He also really loves cheese. I know. But if a guy started talking to me about cheese, honestly, I'd be down.
So
like, sure,
yeah,
let's talk about cheese.
Like,
I love cheese.
So it was weird I haven't really watched this episode in a very, very long time. And I was realizing like teenage me, which would have been 15 at the time, wanted Spike. Well, I don't dig too deep into that, but like adult me,
Well, yeah.
James Marsters. But adult me would love Riley. Like, well, I mean, like fully adult Riley, not like 20-year-old Riley, like grown up
I
Riley.
still am not clear on if Riley is a grad student or like just a more senior college student.
They just say he's a TA and it doesn't go into details. So like,
yeah, we had TAs, but they were juniors and seniors for the most part.
Same.
Especially for, freshman psych, it makes sense that it'd be a junior.
And like all the other guys that are around kind of seems like they're upperclassmen. But I liked I wrote down, I was like, Riley wants to court Buffy.
He said I've never courted somebody, and I was just like, oh, buddy,
I love it.
Iowa.
That's so cute.
Adorable.
And
going to Willow is so smart. Willow's in a dark place right now, but what he says to her is great. I want to know what she likes. I'm interested in what she likes, and the only thing I know she likes is you. And it's like, a woman's best friend is an excellent source of information, and it also shows that you're not trying to like get one over on Buffy or trick her into bed like Parker was, right? It's genuine because he knows that Buffy and Willow are protective of each other. He has witnessed it, right? So he's like willing to say to Willow, I think I like Buffy. So he's not being tricksy. And he has this amazing conversation with Forrest at one point where Forrest is like, I know about girls. And Riley goes, yeah, girls, plural. I'm talking about one girl. And getting any girl from a sea of girls or women, whatever, is a very different calculation than if you like one and you want to get to know her better. Like a lot of men do this like numbers game where they're like,
they're playing the odds.
I'll hit on 20 women and maybe 2 of them will like me and then I'll pick which one I like better. Whereas Riley likes someone and then tries to decide how to get together with her. And it's just a very different way of going about things. It's the way that I operate too. Like I'm not like, I'll just like find like 20 men, date all of them and then pick one. Like I wait until I feel the spark and then
well, it's a difference between seeing if you're interested in dating women. It's a difference between seeing women as human beings or seeing them as a vagina to screw. So like, I mean, like that's like, it's just, like I had a big problem with Forrest this whole episode.
Oh, he was a tool from the moment he got on screen.
He said a lot of just really gross, dehumanizing
things. He's just mattressable.
Yeah,
like I
that's
mean,
disgusting. And I think it was a poor choice to have one of the only black characters objectifying one blonde white woman after another in that opening scene. I was irritating. Like, there's this whole history in the United States of fear mongering among white people that black men are coming for our women, right?
Exactly.
And this just made it seem like he's like a lust machine. And Riley, the white guy, is the nice one who would actually treat a woman nicely. And it triggered a lot of history that I know about, like
Emmett Till
especially, and
very much so.
And he's a one-dimensional character. Like
Forrest he's problematic.
They're Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, like Forrest and Graham. Sorry,
interesting. I was going to compare them to the good guy, bad guy on your shoulder, but this is a better analogy. I like
that
this
too. And I can't say. I mean, I thought of it while watching it just because Shakespeare is. We've talked about this before. I was on the Shakespeare team. Shakespeare is just like ingrained in my head, and in Hamlet. Obviously, like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, it's a little different because they're fairly interchangeable purposefully. But these two, like, their sole purpose is to get Riley to talk about what he really wants and get Riley to, you know, realize what his heart's desire is. And it's just,
Yeah,
I don't know,
they are very two-dimensional characters. Graham
so
is
flat.
a lot more likable than Forrest, but neither of them has a whole lot going on. And they're just Riley's, you know, sidekicks.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. You know, not every character can be fleshed out and have a complete backstory. I'm sure the actors
Right.
had backstories for them in their heads, but
Yeah.
this is a, you know, this is a 42-minute network show. They can't
So
give everyone the Game of Thrones treatment, so it makes sense. But I I do find Forrest to be problematic, and it will continue as the show goes on this
ugh,
season
yeah.
with Forrest. And
I just
Unfortunately.
so
yeah,
I was watching this and I had to rewind it because I felt like I was missing something, and this is maybe for our listeners. So like you guys were saying, it was all a ruse to get Riley to admit his feelings for Buffy. Is that how men talk to each
I
other?
know. I want to know.
Let me rephrase that. Is that how men in their early 20s talk to each other about potential crushes? Because that would explain a lot of
God.
our world right now. Of
Yeah,
like, it is just like a really wild thing that, like, they tried to say, like, we're doing this, we're objectifying her so that you defend
I
her? Like,
cannot tell if Graham and Forrest's awareness that Riley has feelings for Buffy predates the cafeteria conversation, or
Yeah.
if that happened organically and then they both were like, oh, he likes Buffy. And
Yeah.
that's why they bring her up later when they're having their like throwing a ball around a room time in the Parker scene, which we'll
I'm
get to.
maybe I just give
I'm
men too much credit. I'm like, is
I
this
think
how you
that
guys
this is
talk to
what
each other?
we've been told for years is, you know, like locker room talk, right? Like I think that a lot of this kind of talk has been very normalized by our culture.
Ugh.
We've
Yeah.
seen it in movie after movie after movie, right? Like guys being like, I wish
Yeah.
I could throw her up against a wall, like just saying
Ugh.
gross stuff about women that they may or may not mean, but that
Yeah.
they are willing to make jokes about and not realize that it's all part of rape culture. It's demeaning.
100%.
And
Like,
when
I
women hear it,
remember.
we're like, gross, get away from me forever, right?
Yes.
We're like,
Yeah.
well, some women are like, oh, he's just a boy, it's just a joke. But when I
What he
hear a
likes.
guy making jokes like that, my reaction is get away from me forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've always been like, and I have, like, I've been very vocal. I have some really great male friends, and I'm like, I don't know, like, we've been in groups and stuff, and like, I'm sure they've been around those conversations. They don't talk like that, even when they're with their other friends in the group around us, and like, it really lacks emotional intelligence and intimacy.
I
Like, just
wonder
what I
also
think is missing from male
if
culture, straight male
I
culture.
I
part of
think
it is the military training, right? Like these guys are highly trained military
Yeah.
agents.
I was
And
gonna say it
yeah,
sounds
they've
Yeah.
like
got that
some.
troop cohesion thing, and it's a very like masculine atmosphere, and they're sort of encouraged to be a little bit shallow, right? You don't have
Yeah.
to think about stuff too deeply. Somebody will give you orders. Your
Wow.
job is to be a tool. And then they're tools when they're not being ordered
Yeah.
around. Big surprise, they act like tools.
I think it
Which
probably varies drastically from, you know, different types of men and groups, but the law enforcement conversations about women that I have heard
yeah.
either firsthand, like doing ride-alongs or whatever,
Mhm.
or from, you know, my ex-husband describing conversations to me that I was
Yeah.
absolutely horrified to hear.
Yeah.
Like, it it's pretty common. Like,
Yeah.
And I
I
don't
it's
think
think
this was
it's
realistic.
unusual. Yeah,
yes.
like, and I don't think it's unusual that
Well, a man
there's
wrote the
also
episode.
yeah, well, that's what I was wondering, because I'm like, two men wrote this episode and directed it, so it's like it's got to have felt congruent to them to have those conversations. I don't think it's also a coincidence that there is a high level of military sexual trauma of
Hmm.
all genders in the
Yeah.
military. and a high level of domestic violence in police officers. Like, we just sort of see this, I guess that yeah, like that detachment of, like, if you are wondering if he finds Buffy attractive because you want to see if he wants to date her, why don't you just say that?
Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with noticing that women are attractive. Like,
Yeah.
and you're a
And
young man, your hormones are
Buffy?
raging. There's beautiful young women all around you. To sit at a table in the cafeteria and be like, "Wow, she's hot. Oh, look at
Yeah.
that one. She's hot." Not offensive to me.
No,
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 that's
same.
Mattressable,
No.
totally normal.
gross.
Yeah, like
Mattressable is
that's like,
gross.
yeah, like exactly. It's like being like, she's hot, Riley. You know her. Would you
And
go out with her? Like, why don't you go and
what
introduce
does he
yourself?
say? Oh, so you've made first contact? Like she's some
I
sort
know.
of
Like, like,
experiment?
like
Or
some
like
It's
tribe.
alien
weird.
species? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It's
just
like
like, all
the
right, bud.
weirdest
But I
conversations.
have heard young men, this doesn't happen in my circles anymore because, the men I know now are older, but
Yeah.
young men talking about women the way that you might talk about hunting, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you got to separate the weak one from the herd. And then, you take out the weak ones and that's your
Mhm.
dinner that night. And it's like, you're
Oh
talking about sex.
god.
That's, and predatory behavior in a joking way. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And
No.
I think that sort of sentiment has, sorry, Kara's getting attacked by her cat.
Yeah.
Um,
I
Like,
but I
think
Kara,
he's mad.
stop touching your cat.
I think the tolerance for this kind of guy talk waxes and wanes over the years, because I think for a
Mhm.
while everything was getting better, and a character we were meant to like
Mhm.
Riley, would not have engaged in any of this. And he
Yeah.
didn't say any of the gross stuff, but he
Yeah, he
was
didn't.
he was there normalizing it. I don't
Mhm.
think that if we're supposed to like a character anymore
Now.
on TV, it would be given this rating. Now, the
Yeah.
culture in our country is changing, and I anticipate that this kind of behavior will become more acceptable again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Well,
for now, this scene does not age well, and it makes me very
No.
uncomfortable
Well, it's like
same.
about Forrest.
even
Same.
just, you know, not that every other video on TikTok, sometimes I feel like there's comments about, well, on my algorithm, people are talking about what women actually want and how, especially among like red pilled men,
Mm.
there's this notion of women only want, six pack abs, 6 feet tall, like all of these very superficial things. And then there'll be men or women making videos or making the comment, like, you could just listen to women
They'll tell you what they want.
about
Yeah.
what they want. And all these, there are men in the comments being like, you don't ask a
A
fish
female.
how to catch a fish, you don't ask a deer, you know how
Maybe
to
our
hunt
species
deer.
does
And
need
I
to
was just
die
like,
out.
guys, yeah, I was like, that, do you not see how that's a problem? Like,
Ugh.
it's
It's
predatory.
it's
I
disgusting.
I highly
Like,
encourage all of our viewers, if you can tolerate it, to watch Netflix's Adolescence.
Oh, I haven't
so
started it yet, but
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard so much about
it
it.
it highlights, I mean, I've obviously I work in multiple fields in mental health. It has been a hot topic for a lot of us, and we've been recommending it to patients as well.
So
There
good.
is a movement in children right now, like, middle school,
Mm.
elementary school, high school, and you have these parents that are more open to equality and respect of everyone, and then you have our culture shifting and having a lot of social media and a lot of red pill in, like, non-facts being put out
Mhm.
there, and it is almost like this extinction burst of the patriarchy. And so we're finding, yeah, hopefully, but we're finding that these kids are being inundated with this hate speech. And so it's really useful. I think anyone who knows children, is around children, just, I feel, at least for me, I feel like we all have a responsibility to our society's children. It's very useful, and it really does speak to the fact that, despite it being 2025, this is a problem worldwide, and
Yeah.
women
Yeah.
and girls suffer from this violence. But I mean, like, I agree with you, Penny, like, and Kara, of like, watching this scene made me concerned about what these guys do in their frat house. And
Yeah,
I don't think it was meant to. Like I mean I hope it is a fictional stuff, but I hope nothing
Yeah.
happened. But the way that they were talking about this, and then they were like, we just wanted to see if we wanted to get you to admit your feelings. I'm like, wow, is this toxic?
yeah,
All of
that's a
this is
horrible way to
toxic.
do it. And
Like,
I do like that. I do like Graham. Graham does not engage in saying any of the disgusting stuff. And he is purely supportive, right? He's like, I still like her, Riley. I think she's nice. I don't think she went off with that other guy to have sex. Like he's just
Yeah.
like
I
Riley's like ride or die.
Yeah.
He's so
When he
cute.
says like, yeah, there's something when they're talking about there's something off about her, he's like, maybe she's Canadian.
Yeah.
You know,
he's like Riley's hype man.
He's
so
great.
precious.
Graham
Um,
is lovely and likable, although very two-dimensional.
Yeah.
very. And then right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the opening scenes with Buffy when she
Oh,
was
the
just making a mess everywhere
That
she
was
went.
hilarious.
And I just have like, Buffster, I've never related to you more.
yeah.
I was
like
like,
she like she fully broke that frozen yogurt machine.
after she spilled the soda everywhere, and then she
Yeah.
dropped everything. I was
she
like,
just walks away.
yeah, and then it's like, you and me, girl. I would have picked it up, but like, you and me, girl. We are soul sisters. I choked on my own spit yesterday, so like, you and me, girl.
I've done that before. It is very disconcerting.
It is.
I-
It's my own body.
I was
Damn
in
it.
I was in this rather nice thrift store yesterday, and I'm just walking around doing whenever I go to a thrift store, I do like a loop to just get the lay of the land. And then I was walking along looking at stuff, and there was this glass case that had glass shelves. It was meant to be to display like collectibles or whatever. And two of the glass shelves just spontaneously fell
Oh my
and like
god.
made a lot of noise and crashed. And I was a good 10 feet away from it when it happened. And I went, it wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
And I raised my
wasn't
hands in the
me.
air, like, look, I'm not touching it. And to his credit, the guy who was doing that part of the store and went over to try to like fix the shelf and everything was like, I'm still gonna blame you. You were close enough. Like he was just giving me a hard time. And I was like, I am very clumsy. It's entirely possible that I broke that from 10 feet away. And so yeah, I identify with Buffy too, like breaking the frozen yogurt machine. And that feeling of like, I don't actually have the ability to fix this. And I'm just gonna leave. I think the best thing would be for me to leave. I've been
There's
there
nothing.
where I'm
There's
like,
nothing to do.
kind of like that time I barfed in Target and I couldn't find any employee to help me
Oh
find
yeah. It's just like, well, someone will find it. It'll be
I have
fine.
never been back to that Target, and it's across the street.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, no, I'm definitely on some security footage that employees in the back room laugh at. So
Oh.
I'm not going back to that Target ever.
That reminded me that scene when I was little, I was obsessed with Matilda. Like
Okay.
absolutely, especially once the movie came out. I thought maybe I could move things with my mind if I tried hard enough. And we were in some antique store one time and I was just like thinking about Matilda and I looked up at a shelf and a vase that must have been like already precariously placed fell and crashed to the floor and I freaked out because I was like, oh my god, I did it. This is not, I was like 7 and
like,
it is
this power is too much for me to handle.
yeah, and I was just like, we gotta get out of here, they're gonna know.
Yeah, they're gonna be like that one, the Matilda lover.
I was
like,
so scared.
She's right there. She's right there. And it's also like when she made I have done that where I have made a mess with the ink on my pen. Like all of this, I felt oddly really connected to the Slayer.
Yeah, the
like, I see
pen
you, girl.
situation was so great because it cut. First of all, it cut from Riley and Forrest, the guys talking, and one of them says, "I bet a lot of guys would like to get their hands on her." And then it cuts to Spike muttering in the cell,
I know.
Slayer, I'll kill you.
I love that.
And then it cuts from Spike saying, I don't care how brilliant she is, to Buffy with ink all over her hands and like ruining her notes.
Brilliant.
Like, yes,
Yeah,
we only
just
have
great
specific
editing.
intelligences.
Yeah, like, and we've seen this before on the show many times, is that she is incredibly competent in Slayer mode, completely normal human in other mode, where she has insecurities, she thinks her hair doesn't look right, she has trouble in school, like all that stuff is normal about her. But then we get to see her transform into the Slayer in this episode when she's meeting with Giles and Xander.
Fine. You know what? He's worn out his welcome. Tonight, I kill him.
You have a plan?
I am the plan.
And,
That's right.
you know, she's like, when it comes to being the Slayer, she has so much confidence. And she, that confidence does her well, because she's the only Slayer that like seems to live past the age of 18. Like
Seriously.
She's amazing. And she's like the best Slayer there ever was. And I'm so there for the fact that she's a superhero who also has human problems. It's one of the things that really drew me to the show in the first place, because, you know, before this, superheroes that we had on TV that were women were Wonder Woman, who was sort of perfect in every single way. And, you know, I loved Wonder Woman, but Buffy's is so relatable.
Yes, she's a human, and it's actually very true of us. Like we're really good at our specialized field, less precise at other things. And like that makes sense with the human brain. So one of the things that like really, okay, so this was weird for me watching this scene that happened directly after, when Willow was trying to get Oz. I don't know what she was trying to do with Walsh. So
that
like,
was such a sad scene.
Yeah, so it's weird. When I first watched this as teenage me, I was like, Dr. Walsh is so mean. How can she? And now here I am, a full-fledged adult who has also been a professor. I actually agreed with Professor Walsh. Like she doesn't know the full story with Willow, and it's actually kind of wild to expect that Oz can miss multiple classes without explanation and still pass the class. Like I thought I wasn't expecting to side with Professor Walsh because it's our Willow, and then I thought she was pretty correct of like, he's not talking to Dr. Walsh about what's going on, and she's expecting him to just not show up for the rest of the semester and pass the class
and still be considered even part of the class. I think that
she's
Professor
in
Walsh
denial.
is ultimately correct, but her delivery was pretty harsh. And, you know, Buffy is always going to be protective of Willow and her other people, Xander, Giles, etc. And it did give us the opportunity for this awesome moment with Buffy that I think solidifies her personality in Walsh's eyes in a way, and makes her really stand out from the pack to Walsh, and really Riley has so much respect for her from this moment.
And so
An
does
educated
Professor
guess.
Walsh.
Yeah.
You know the rules, you know I hate exceptions, and yet somehow you feel your exception is exceptional.
Oh, but...
It is, to you. But since I'm neither a freshman nor a narcissist, I have to consider the whole class. If your friend can't respect my schedule, I think it's best he not come back.
You know, for someone who teaches human behavior, you might try showing some.
It's not my job to coddle my students.
You're right. A human being in pain has nothing to do with your job.
I like her.
Really? You don't think she's a little peculiar?
Peculiar.
Sorry. Like, so it's interesting. I see the same militaristic approach because we know, like, she's their CO, she's their commanding officer. So she's treating them the same way. And I mean, unfortunately, it is true. Even if you study human behavior, um, yeah, she was a little curt. That's the
Yeah.
military, but also I get a feeling she's been at this job for a very long time as a professor, and
Yeah.
it's something where like yeah, like I poor Willow, and then at the
Yeah.
same time I'm like Willow, you can't
Yeah.
go around asking professors to make
Y-
exceptions, like
No. And
like she's
I
never
agree with
coming back.
Walsh's decision and her rules. And I think that her "I'm neither a freshman nor a narcissist" line was really uncalled for.
Yeah.
I also question whether Walsh is a narcissist.
I think
I
Like,
she is.
know. She
spoilers for later in the season,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
yeah. I know the answer to that. Yes.
yeah. But what we get out of the scene is that Buffy is not afraid to stand up to anybody.
I
Yeah.
loved it. And I love
She
that
is
Walsh
not
loved
intimidated.
her for like Walsh was
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
She
see like I think
respected that.
I think that's what made me like really like the character Professor Walsh so far.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
Buffy stood up to her and she didn't pathologize Buffy's standing up to her. She was
No.
like, I like her. Like
Yeah.
she stood up to me and maybe she's right. And so like that was where it deviated because a narcissist will not like people standing up to them.
Yeah.
So I was just very yeah, because I was like when I first watched it, I did not like Professor Walsh, and I get a feeling I'm not gonna like her for very long. But like in that moment, I was like, huh, she's
Yeah.
not wrong.
She's
I
not
probably would have,
wrong.
like you said, Penny. I probably would have said it a little bit nicer. Um,
I
after Willow had told me all that was going on with her, of like I hear you, and still not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like her phrasing. I hate exceptions, but you think your exception is exceptional. And
Yeah.
I really want to use that in conversation someday. I
Yes.
think it's
I think that
beautifully
could
stated.
come up
Yeah.
very, very, naturally as an attorney.
Oh, I've definitely
Oh
had
yeah.
that
That's gonna
sentiment
be.
and
Yep.
expressed that
Yeah.
sentiment to clients or coworkers,
Yep.
but I know I never said it in those words, and I love
No,
the words and the
that is
way
Yeah.
good.
it was delivered. It was really,
Very.
really satisfying.
Well, and her standing up to Walsh also impresses all the little initiative bros.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, in that next
fun.
scene when Riley is describing it, they're like, "No way. No way.
Yep.
She said that to Walsh." And like cuz they're all kind of afraid of Walsh.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
like Buffy's relationship with the other initiative bros is going to go through a lot of changes over the
Yeah.
course of the season, but at this point their opinion of her is she's hot and she's got something
Yeah.
special,
Spunk.
right? Like
Spark.
she did
Yep.
something that none of us have been brave enough to do. So they're all on board with Riley wanting to date her at this point. They're like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
man, that
They're like, we
go
get
for
it.
it." Yeah. Like, yeah. And it I like how supportive they are of him wanting to date this one particular woman that he likes,
Mm-hmm.
even though it doesn't seem to be going well at first, like after the party. And
Oh my
and Forrest is
god.
teasing him about it, but you could tell that Forrest is still like, but I still want you to get the girl. Like it's just fun to give you a hard
Yeah.
time.
Well, they even, I can't tell the way that Forrest calls Parker over when they're in the common area or whatever having a
Mhm.
conversation. I was like, is he doing this on purpose? Like, is he trying to rile Riley up
Apparently.
to get
I
him
think
to realize? Like, is that what that is?
I think part of it
Apparently.
was trying to get Riley to realize he likes her, and part of it was just data collection. Like
Yeah.
Parker knows Buffy, let's see what he has to say about it. And then
He's
I
so
don't
gross.
I don't
Yeah.
think Forrest would have ever been offended by what Parker said. He was
Oh,
sort of
no.
like, that's how guys talk. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, sounds good to
Riley's
me.
yeah, Riley's reaction was almost a reflex. It happened so fast that it's it's not like he took even a second to think like
Yeah.
that's offensive. I'm going to punch him. It was just like he couldn't help himself.
I love the
And
look on his face, though. He's just
Disgusting
like,
thing.
huh,
Yeah.
didn't
I've
like
never like
that.
I can't believe I did that. So for all of you listeners who have been with us on this journey and who hate Parker because he's been a jerk, I give you the punch.
I love it.
Here,
He
let's listen again.
falls so hard. Yay, Riley.
Woohoo.
It's very satisfying. Somebody
He's
has
just being such a tool. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
man.
somebody has edited that moment together with the moment when Buffy hits him on the head with the branch into a video that's going around the internet. And it's just those two things over and over again.
They
And
know what we want.
you know,
Like it.
physical violence is not an answer to your problems. And Piotr really very well pointed out to us that, you know, hitting somebody on the head so that they knock out is not funny.
That's very violent.
Yeah, it's
like
very dangerous.
very
Yeah.
violent.
But if we are hung up on that every time we watch Buffy and somebody gets knocked out, we won't be able to watch the show.
That's
So
true.
we're going to have to just sort of accept it for the time being. And it's dated and it is what it is. It's like how there's no black people in Sunnydale or no Mexican people in Sunnydale. We just have to sort of notice it and move on, because otherwise we can't enjoy the show, which is otherwise fantastic.
But it's so satisfying watching Parker drop like that.
Yeah.
It was. They did it for the fans.
Well, and the whole, like, you know, I know he's supposed to be saying crude things. Like, that's the point. He's saying crude things, and that's what triggers Riley. But the toilet seat comment, I was like,
that was
so
pretty
nasty.
disgusting.
And when he said it, the way he delivers it is, I know I'm about to say something really funny.
Yeah. He's so amped to be able to talk
satisfied
about
with himself.
But I will say, I had like a split second of like tangent when he made a comment about stamina.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? That is a good point. If he wasn't being so gross, like, I bet Buffy, well, we know in future episodes, like, anyway, that's another statement.
Yeah.
But she, like, that must be a perk to being a Slayer. Like, you just don't get tired.
Yeah. Not easily. Like, yeah.
I was like, good for Buffy. Good job, Buffy.
To be a little crude, you know, she could go all night.
Yeah. I mean,
but I don't like him saying it.
Yeah.
No. It's gross. So, the way he said it was gross. Everything about his delivery was gross. Like, he made it sound like Buffy was, you know, he called her clingy when all she really did was say, like, what?
It's like,
you know,
hey,
I thought you liked me.
You said you were going to call me. I thought you actually liked me because of, I don't know, you love bombing the crap out of me. But whatever.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not the first time he's done this. He probably has made lots of women respond that way. Yeah. And he enjoys making fun of them afterward. Parker is a giant jerk.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that, you know, this happened here. Before we get to the party scene, let's talk about the scene where Riley goes to talk to Willow. And he's like, I like Buffy and I wanted to get you your advice. And then Willow comes back with this.
Say that I help. And you start a conversation. It goes great. You like Buffy. She likes you. You spend time together. Feelings grow deeper. And one day, without even realizing it, you find you're in love. Time stops. And it feels like the whole world's made for you two. And you two alone. Until the day one of you leaves and rips the still beating heart from the other, who's now a broken, hollow mockery of the human condition.
Oh, honey.
Yep, that's the plan.
Cute.
So
one of his redeeming qualities, his most redeeming qualities, I think, is how he cares about Willow.
Yeah.
He, you know, he asked Buffy how Willow's doing later on. Like, he is not just talking to Willow to get closer to Buffy. Like, he
treats her like a full person in her own right. She's not just a Buffy appendage.
Which is nice.
He's very respectful of boundaries and just respectful in general. And wow, our standards for men in the toilet.
I know. It's like he's nice to her best friend. He treats her like a human.
he doesn't
Yeah.
react
Wow.
defensively and lash out. Like, no. I was thinking that the whole time I was watching this scene. I'm like, this is delightful. Like, I was waiting for him to be offensive
I
and
know.
defensive. And I was like, oh, he's acting like a full human. Look at this. I'm like,
Yeah.
jeez.
And then she does eventually give him the Buffy likes cheese advice, which is
I
fantastic.
love that so much.
And they go to the party, and he's so funny at the party. First of all, Willow gives him more advice at the party, and that is also funny.
Yeah.
Okay, she's wearing a halter top with sensible shoes. That means mostly dancing light contact, but don't push your luck. Heavy conversations out of the question.
So what do I do?
Ask her to dance.
Right. Dance. Wait. No,
What's the matter?
I can't dance.
Then talk. Keep eye contact. Funny is good, but don't be glib. And remember, if you hurt her, I will beat you to death with a shovel. A vague disclaimer is nobody's friend. Have fun.
A
That
vague
is
disclaimer is nobody's friend is another really good line.
It's a
That is a
fantastic
great
line.
line.
Have to
And
remember that.
then Riley proceeds to be so dorky
It's so
and
awkward.
I
and
loved it.
it's so
I
funny
know.
because the audience knows that it's because he likes Buffy, right? And so
Yeah.
we're on his side, and we're like, oh, like he's trying, and oh, that's so cute. And the look on Buffy's face is like, why are you even talking to me, you dork? Like she's trying to be nice to him because they're friendly, but like,
Yeah.
I think she's interested. She's just waiting for him to make the right move. And she's used to a 200-year-old vampire who's been dating for 200 years. So she's like, she's used to people who are suave and have skills. And I think later in the episode, you kind of like, she's interested, but she's
yeah,
waiting for him to come round to it. And
yeah.
I was
And
just
her
watching
last
it.
dating experience was Parker, right? And Parker was super smooth. And
So like,
so the awkwardness, I don't, if it were me and somebody was all dorky and tripping all over themselves trying to talk to me, and then I found out they liked me, it would endear them to me. I'd be
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh, it's not
adorable.
a patter, it's not slick, it's real.
well,
Yeah.
and that's like, I wrote down, I'm like, a cute, shy boy making awkward small talk with me would work every time.
Absolutely.
Like if I was interested, it works. Like, it just be authentic. Like,
Although,
I'm
warning
fine.
to all women out there are guys who have made that their game.
Yes, they
Ugh.
pretend, and it's
And
rude.
I have fallen for, I don't even really know how to talk to girls. Don't fall for that.
Okay,
That's
well,
true.
that's less fun for me. If I hear
Be
that,
on the lookout.
I know.
I don't
the
know how to talk to
genuine.
women. It's like,
Yeah.
why? We're just talk to us like a people person. But like him making small talk about the cheese and everything, I'd be
Yeah.
like, yes,
I'm
I
not
do
gonna
like
lie.
cheese. Thank you.
I also love that you can kind of see in the shot that table is covered with cheese.
Yeah.
There's so much cheese. He's like, Buffy likes cheese. I'll go get cheese. Like he's on a
Yes,
mission.
like
But if a guy came up to me at a party with cheese for me and then wanted to
Right.
talk about cheese, like I would be sat. I would be
Yeah.
there. It's like,
Yeah.
all right,
let's go.
let's
I
go.
would totally talk about any food I liked with a dude at a party. That would be fine with me.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's cheese is just a running Buffy joke because
I know.
it's going to
yeah,
come
I
up again and
remember.
again about
So
cheese
good.
in the future.
I
It also
love.
reminds me of She's the Man.
Yeah.
when
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Gosh,
she- my favorite
throwback. Throwback.
Love it. That's another movie based on a Shakespeare play.
Oh
Is
yeah.
excellent.
We had a
I need to
whole
see
like
that. Is that
time
Amanda
down.
Bynes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Peak Amanda Bynes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I haven't
I
seen
like.
it, but What a Girl Wants is one of my guilty pleasure
Oh my
movies.
god, that's such
Love
a good
it.
movie.
Ooh, love it.
Maybe I'll
Um,
watch that today.
I really like Buffy's cute little party holster top. Did you guys see
Yeah.
like that one
Yeah.
in there?
She
I
looked,
Yeah.
I mean,
she's
she's
so
always
good.
beautiful, but season
Yeah.
4 is when her wardrobe really goes to the next level.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
And
was
she looks
so good.
amazing. And
And
her
I
hair
had a
looks so
similar
good.
one. Oh my god, so good. And I had a similar one, but unlike the gorgeous Sarah Michelle Gellar, I have had giant breasts since I was 15. So
Yeah,
And
it's
those
hard to
tops,
wear halter
yeah,
tops with boobs.
those tops
Yeah.
are not meant for bras. So when I went to dance in that top, my titties were knocking against each other like the Newton
Yep.
cradle, just clackety clacking in those balls. Like
So in the late 90s, early 2000s, these like tiny, silky, delicate tops held together by like tiny ribbons
String.
were so hot. They were everywhere. Everybody on this podcast, we all have large breasts. Like I could never wear them. But I do remember I was at a wedding and a friend of mine was wearing a top like that, and she was dancing and the strings broke.
Oh god.
And another friend of ours acted the fastest I've ever seen a normal human react and clamped her hands around my friend's torso, holding the little tiny piece of silk onto her body, and then like walked her out of the room. It was so funny.
Real
I
heroes
remember-
don't always have capes.
Like wearing spaghetti straps was so trendy during this time. And even in 5th grade, like I think I was like a D cup by 6th grade or something insane.
Yeah.
And I wanted to wear the cute little like limited to tops like my friends. And I remember I went with my dad to the Galleria in Houston one time, and it was like I think it was for my birthday or something, and I wanted to wear my cute spaghetti strap top, and my mom made me take like a shawl with me. And my dad still tells the story about walking around with closed fists the entire time because of the looks that I was getting as a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why do creepy men have to ruin everything?
I know.
Like,
it's so
I could not
weird.
wear half the things I wanted to wear because it looked vaguely inappropriate.
Well,
and when
because
you
adult
have-
men thought it was vaguely inappropriate.
Yep.
This is
12-year-old me did not understand.
major tangent, but when you have larger breasts, your choices for clothing are almost always cleavage bomb or prison matron, right? Like
It's true.
it's very hard to find clothes
Especially
in the middle.
button up, like office shirts, like wearing a button up shirt, forget it.
Yeah,
it's not gonna
Oh
happen.
my gosh, forget it.
Very difficult, and it's
oh.
so hard. It's easier when you're in your 20s, 30s, when showing a little cleavage is something that's more socially acceptable. But when you're a teenager or a kid, people will call you a slut to your face, and you're like, I'm just a little girl trying to wear a shirt. Like,
you're distracting people.
I had multiple
It's my
teachers
body.
in middle school say things to me. Like I remember I had a spaghetti strap shirt on, but like a button-up shirt over it. And I was walking down the hall. It was like 6th grade. And I remember seeing a group of teachers standing together looking at me and talking. And I was just like, oh no, am I in trouble? And then one of my teachers pulled me aside and she goes, I think you might need to like button that shirt up, reconsider what you're wearing because of the message you're sending when you walk down the hallway.
God.
And I was just like, what message?
There's no writing on my clothes.
Yeah,
Like,
they-
what are you
I
talking
was
about?
so
6th grade.
confused. And I went home and I told my parents, and all I remember is my dad angrily calling up to the school, and nobody said anything to me after that, which was fun.
I'm glad
it's
your
so
dad did that.
frustrating. Young girls are going through puberty earlier and earlier and earlier. I have theories about it. I think it's because there's hormones in our milk, but they're not socially, emotionally mature enough to handle the attention that they end up getting from men. Just because their body developed does not mean that they have, and it breaks my heart when I see that happening to a younger girl and remember how it happened to me. It's Kara's cat attacking again.
I know, no one's hurting her. That's like it's like the 5th time. We're like, no one's actually
in a mood. Well, podcasting, there's all these cords around, and I just tried to, God forbid, I tried to move one away from his claws, and he
let you know who's boss.
He's like the payment is blood. Yeah, and it's also like what I like to bring up is like kids can dress however they want. They're children. It's up to the adults to know better. And I
Yeah.
don't like that our society continues to avoid making specifically grown men accountable for this stuff.
Right.
Like
This
your
whole
dad
like
did, Kara.
you're distracting the men, you're distracting the boys, you're making the men uncomfortable. It's like maybe they shouldn't work with children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Like if
I
a
know.
if a grown man
exactly.
who's a teacher looks at like a 10 or 12-year-old girl and gets aroused because like, he can tell that she has breasts,
Yeah,
then
Yeah.
he should not be a teacher of 10 or
exactly.
12-year-old girls. Like that's just
And
it's
like
gross.
no one wants to hold the adults responsible. And it's like, why are you looking? Why are you like, what is
Yeah.
happening here right
And
now? That again,
meanwhile,
you're blaming children.
I hear from my friends who have like tweenage girls that when they go clothes shopping for them, it's impossible to find things that aren't spaghetti strap and skin
Yeah.
tight and low cut. And they're like, there's a school dress code that's very specific, but then we go to the mall, we go to like Macy's or, whatever store, and everything is going to violate the dress code. How am I supposed to dress my daughter
Yeah.
in clothes that won't like make her look too sexy for school if there's no non-sexy clothes available? And
Yeah.
the message from, I remember around the time that this came out, a little bit after this, Britney Spears' sister,
What's
Oh
Jamie
yeah.
Lynn?
name I
Jamie
can't remember,
Lynn.
Jamie Lynn,
Jamie Lynn.
came
Yeah.
out with a line of lingerie for little girls. And I
Okay, that's
was
Did I
too far.
block that out? I don't remember that
incensed.
at
Well, it
all.
didn't last very long, thank
Well,
God. But
gee,
I
Holy
was like,
darn
talk
hell.
about the
boy.
wrong message. Like, girls, be sexy all the time, but not at school. Cover up at school, but
Yeah.
be sexy, but not at school.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just
it's
like it's yeah, it's such like an infuriating thing. Like as kind of going back to like my field of like unfortunately there's still a lot of therapists and psychologists who have sex with their patients, the
ugh.
adult patients, which I think is completely disgusting.
Yeah.
And I do like obviously I'm not my patient's parental figure. Most of my patients are older than me, but
Mm.
there's still a vulnerability that happens there.
Yeah,
I
there's a
will
power
never.
dynamic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it
Absolutely.
makes it ick for me each and every
It's
time.
super unethical.
And yeah, and these are fully grown adults. So
Ugh.
it's just this idea where I don't know what it's going to take for society to finally hold the adults responsible. Like if a
Yeah.
12-year-old, 14-year-old boy hits on me, and unfortunately that has happened, I tell
Yeah.
them, no, that's not appropriate. And I had zero, like -50 interest in ever going near children. So I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not a hard thing. So like
Yeah.
it's
The
just this
rule is very
weird.
clear. And
Yeah.
apparently, we needed to have the law of statutory rape in place to inform adults that
And
it should be
Mhm.
very clear to you to stay away from
they
little
are
kids. And
babies. Like
and they
what?
do it all the time, and then they're like, "Well, she was interested in me." And it's like,
The
that's
number of
So
times I heard
so
defendants saying that on jail calls or in,
I can't.
you
I
know,
can't. Like
interrogation videos. It's like, well, she hit on
I
me. Like the
can't.
youngest one, there should probably be a trigger warning at some point for this. But the youngest one, she was 3. 3
ugh.
years old.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Like
he was
this
just
is
like, she was always in the way, if you didn't
oh
know
god.
anything about it, he was like, she was in her little skirt and she sat on my lap and like she
They
was
are
flirting with me and like
children.
playing with my beard. And
Oh,
I was just like
oh god.
so disgusted. But that happens the way that perpetrators will talk about
Yes.
very young children. They talk about them as if they're adults with sexual desires,
They
and
don't
it
have the
is
capacity to consent.
disturbing.
And like flat
And
baseline, they
and
they
they'll
they don't
say
have
like,
that.
she was
Yep.
curious. She wanted to see my penis. And it's
Absolutely
like,
Yeah.
not.
yeah, toddlers are
Ugh.
curious about everything.
Yeah, it's like
Like,
you
that
groomed
doesn't
her.
mean you show it to her.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I this is it's a
let's say it's
wild
even
thing.
a little, let's say it's a 10-year-old girl who is like, hey man, I want to have sex with you. I don't care that you're 3 times my age. Your
Ugh.
answer is still no.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how much she hit on you. I don't care how much she seemed interested or curious or how she looked.
Yep.
Yep.
The answer's no, and it's unexcusable.
Yep,
Mm. But
100%. I think it's less logic, unfortunately, and more
Yeah.
that society
well,
just
yeah.
refuses to hold, particularly men, accountable.
Oh yeah.
Grown men accountable for this. And we see this just being replicated and ongoing, and school dress codes are sexist. They're racist.
Yeah.
They're everything about it. And I always push back. I push back in my own job with trainees. Stop body policing, because this goes to a wider issue. So
Yeah.
it's things like that just sort of replicate and happen, that are still going on in 2025. And
Yeah.
it's very disheartening.
Well,
Wow,
and
that was quite a tangent.
I know,
I
I
know.
love
Buffy's
that
top.
from Buffy's halter top. But Buffy,
Totally.
like, I remember watching Buffy in, 5th or 6th grade and desperately wanting to dress like her.
Yeah.
Like, that, I
I
think
did.
Buffy
Yeah.
is a big part of why I even got halter tops or like tube
Mhm.
tops or anything in the first place. And God bless
Yeah.
my parents. But I they were very big on like letting me make my own choices and learning from my choices. And I just remember my mom being like, okay, you can wear this, but just know like people are going to say things and that's not right, but making me aware of it. And thinking back on it now, it just kind of infuriates me, the stuff I remember hearing when I was 12.
Yeah.
Or
And
it's like,
you don't have the maturity at 12 to put that in any kind of perspective, so you just
No.
internalize it.
no.
Like, thank God
The
your
adults failed you.
parents, said to you, like, people are going to talk, but you still have a right to say it. Like, that's,
Mhm.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
to wear
I
it.
was
Like,
I was very very fortunate with my like I wanted a belly button piercing when I was 15, and my dad was like, people are going to say you're a slut. People are going to say things, and I was just like, I don't care. And he goes, "Okay, you can get one."
yeah.
Like that
The
was
belly
Informed
button piercing
consent.
yeah.
craze.
Um,
So what did you guys?
we have a little bit of a time crunch, so I think we
Oh,
should
Spike and Willow.
focus on the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spike and
Yeah.
Willow.
Or like, so do you want to do the Spike and Willow, or do you want to do the Xander and Harmony fight?
Both.
Oh, okay. Both. So, all right. This episode
God, I love
has
that fight.
some of the most iconically funny scenes in the
know.
entire series, right?
Yep.
There's the Buffy can't operate a frozen yogurt machine. There's punching Parker. There is Harmony and Xander's fight, which is
So
So
good.
great.
so
So
funny.
great.
The
So
And
lead
great.
up to it, and she actually seems vaguely threatening when she's like, I could kill you where you stand. Like that, I was like, okay, Harmony. Like,
I
okay.
love that for once a character with long flowing hair, it actually came back
I
to haunt
know.
them in a fight scene. So many
Both of
times
them,
characters
like,
have all this hair, and I'm like, that is so impractical. Put it in a ponytail.
yeah.
Yes.
Like
I
there's a
like that they.
reason why women in the military or law enforcement have their
Yeah.
hair in like tight buns.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's necessary. I
That
like
is
how both of
tactical.
them were making threatening statements to each other, but neither one of them went for the kill moves.
I know. They're both
Yeah.
like looking at the other one like, are we gonna do this?
Yeah. They
The
fight like little
slapping.
kids.
It was so good. It was perfect. And I love how both of them pretty much are like, yeah, we're not going to tell anybody about this, right? Like, we're
Yeah.
just not going to mention this again.
So I watched it twice because I found it so funny. If you watch the slow motion, Mercedes McNabb is trying so hard not to smile. You can see it on her face. And I'm like, this must have been so much fun to film.
The whole scene is so great. Xander starts off with, I'm gonna warn you. I've been trained to kill you without warning. And I'm like, that was the warn. You warned her.
That was so cute.
And
Look at you
and then he
guys.
doesn't do it. Like the whole
No.
oh god. And I love that right before that we realized that Giles was like, Xander, why don't you go patrol separately? Like
Yeah.
he's like, I have had it with you today.
He's so
But
annoying.
they did bond a little. Like, we got to see some Giles and Xander bonding, which makes me really happy because most of the time we see Giles just having like utter contempt for Xander or ignoring him.
Well, he's
So
Yeah.
he's gotten so low and bored that he's
he'll even
willing-
hang out with Xander
He's like, is this
in
this
his
is what
mom's basement with
Yeah,
raspberry fruit punch?
I have the clip, of
That was
course. Here we go.
Is it raspberry fruit punch?
I love the way he says raspberry.
Raspberry.
Cute.
It's so cute.
Raspberry.
I was like, did Xander's mother not see Giles when he arrived? Because she's like, do you and your friend want fruit punch? And I'm like, does she not know that Giles is like 45 years old or 50?
And does she have no questions?
Yeah,
I know.
A
I need some fruit
45-year-old
punch for you and your
librarian.
friends.
This grown-ass man hanging out in the basement with her
With my
barely legal
18-year-old
teenage
son.
son.
It's
Like,
okay, Mom. He was my librarian at
yeah,
school.
don't worry, Mom. I met him in high school.
Yeah.
It's all cool.
It's
I hang
totally
out at his
fine.
house all the time. Don't worry about it.
Sometimes he comes to the bronze too.
Yeah, like,
Just all
it's
sorts
totally
of
cool.
problematic behavior. Oh, and I love like that one scene where they were at Giles's place and they were like, "No, Buffy won't need our help." And then Xander comes up with the idea to make more work for Buffy so that he and
I
Giles
know.
can feel included.
Yeah, that's a little
Xander.
foreshadowing of the future too. Like,
Yeah.
Just a smidge. What does
stirring the
Giles say?
pot.
He's like, "Wee bit unethical."
Yeah,
Just
just
a little bit. And then Xander looks kind of disappointed.
Ugh.
That hair pulling fight is so funny. And then
Perfect.
after that we get, first of all, Xander asks Giles, like, do you think Spike will find Buffy? And Giles is like, I have no doubt. And then cut to Spike having broken into the college office, some office, and he's like looking up Buffy on the computer. And I'm like, oh, 126-year-old Spike knows how to operate a computer. Of course he does, because he acts like he's kind of a dummy, and he is not a dummy.
No,
Like,
Spike is brilliant.
Underneath all that bluster is a giant nerd, right?
William the Bloody.
Yeah, like poet, blah, blah, blah. We haven't met him in the series yet, but you will, people who haven't seen the rest of the series. And, he finds Buffy's dorm and he's very direct. He knocks on the door.
Yeah.
He knocked on the door.
I love that. And Willow, poor Willow, come in. I was like, no.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, you fight vampires. Come on now. But she's
Everybody in
creeping.
college, like, you were in and out of everybody else's dorm rooms all the
it is
time.
true. It's very
That
true.
is true.
But that scene between the two of them, I really want to talk about it seriously because it's funny, yes, but it's also hella problematic because
I don't. Why did they need the rapey undertones?
I know.
Well, so they make this joke where they liken, and it'll come up in a future episode too. They liken Spike's situation, and we don't know yet about the chip, but we know that something's going on with him. And they liken his situation to impotence, and then they make a bunch of jokes about it. But it's not like, and there's a long history in vampire stories of biting and sex being sort of metaphors for each other. But when you're biting someone unconsensually, it's not a metaphor for sex, it's a metaphor for rape. And then to have Willow be like, oh, am I not pretty enough for you to rape me?
Yeah.
Really upsetting. And it hurts me that I still find the scene funny, even though I am equally conscious of this weird undertone to it that is just does not age well.
Because their performance of it is
I was gonna say. I was like, that's totally the actors.
They
Especially
have
James
great
Marsters.
chemistry. Yeah.
I mean,
they're
like,
great together.
This scene could have been like a completely horrific thing, and it still kind of is. The charm of the scene is all due to the actors. I mean, James Marsters, only he could really be that endearing to make that work. And at the same time, it's like you don't want to think too much about it, especially with the rate of sexual assault in undergrad. And so it's
that's
really
the thing.
And this is where, like, I mean, we've been very vocal about it, and I think a lot of people in the media have been very vocal. You need to have women in the writers' room and women who feel safe enough to say stuff, because this, for me, really shows that this was written and directed by men,
bunch of men,
and that bunch of men who don't. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know for certain, but don't really have to worry about being the victim in this. And so, like, they did, let's talk about vampiric dysfunction and make her blame herself. And it's like, cool. Any woman who felt safe enough to say it in the writer's room would have been like, hey, like, Marty,
can you think twice about this?
You're
Yeah,
having
like
Willow want to be raped? That's weird.
yeah, that's
Just
a
Yeah.
weird
saying.
thing to
When she's like,
do.
why don't we try again in like half an hour or something like that? I was just like,
Yeah.
ugh. And then, of course,
Yeah.
that's when she snaps. And she's like,
Yeah.
wait a second.
She's
Yeah.
like,
No.
The only way it kind of works is because we know that Willow is in this deep pit of depression and
Yeah.
questioning if she's lovable enough.
Sure.
yeah.
And so of course she transfers her insecurity about Oz leaving onto Spike,
Yeah.
but it's like I understand why they went there, but they should
Yeah.
have gone there and been like, no, that doesn't work, and gone in another direction, because
But it
Yeah.
still works on me because of James Marsters. Like when he makes that comment about like, remember last year you had on that fuzzy pink
I
number
know.
with the lilac
Yeah.
underneath, and the
I
look that he
love it.
gives her, he kind of like stares her down, and I was like,
I
Yeah.
know.
And she's all like, really? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was like,
And
damn
when
it.
and when he's like sitting on the edge of the bed and he's like, I'm only 126 years old.
I know. And
It's
he like
hilarious.
smiles at her and like
Yeah.
tries to make her feel
Yeah.
better. And
He is
yeah.
so charming. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
famous story. He was only supposed to be in like 3 episodes, but
Yeah.
the fan reaction to his character, even though he's a villain, and when he first joins the show, he is an unmitigated villain.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the
Yep.
fans were like, bring him back. We like that. He's
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, the rest is history, that he
I
goes
don't
on to
think
become a major character on the show.
any TV character has made me as stupidly giggly and giddy as Spike has.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
I can't handle it. Like I just
I
love him so
know.
much. I forgive almost everything he does, and then even the really unforgivable shit he does, I blame JW.
Yeah, the
So
writing is good, but James Marsters sells
Yeah.
it. And
yep.
it's funny, we were texting about the other show that I podcast about, Yellow Jackets, and
Mhm.
the likability of characters, and whether or not characters need to be likable, and how people really want female characters to be likable, but men are allowed
Yep.
to not be likable, all that stuff. And I was like, and yet I like Spike. Like, he
Yeah.
is a villain, and I
Yeah.
still like him.
And
I
he
don't
does
just
some
enjoy him.
That's the
I
thing.
know.
I love him. He does some really
Yeah.
objectively horrific
Absolutely.
things, but he is incredibly likable. Well, and
And
I
he
think
seems
of
like a good hang. Like, if
Yeah.
you could not be
That's
afraid of
true.
him biting you, like, I
Yep.
would hang out with Spike.
Yeah.
I bet he'd be fun at parties.
Yeah.
And that is
Chip
why
Spike
the
or
chip
sold
is
Spike.
brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Chip Spike, sold Spike. And it's
Ugh.
also like, as much as I find him delightful, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't want to date Spike in real life. Like
No.
he's good as like a
I
fictional
don't want to
character.
date him.
You're like, I just want to have a night with him with that chip. Or
We don't need
Yeah.
to
like
date.
but like it's just one of those things where like because it's fantasy, at least for me, like
Yeah.
Yes.
I tend to be drawn to
You
the villains,
forgive a
but it's a
little bit more.
fictional thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not in real life. In real life, I want a Riley, and
Yeah.
like so it's
Stable, relatively boring
sweet.
in the grand scheme of
Sweet.
things.
Oh God,
Yep.
please be boring. That's great. I want
Considerate.
boring. I got enough
Yeah.
excitement in my
Although,
job. I don't
I
need
actually
anything
think
else.
that if Spike were to date someone, and like, if he wanted to date someone, I think he would put together some fun dates. Like,
That's
he
true.
seems
Yeah.
like the kind of guy who'd be like, oh, I have a whole
Sex
night
Pistols
planned,
tickets.
Yes.
and we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna ride my
More of-
motorcycle, and
More of
like,
his obsessiveness would
yeah,
be very problematic, and
yeah.
also
Not long-term date. I just think
yeah.
short-term,
A fling. A
a
fun
fling with
fling.
Spike.
I don't
Yeah.
know how the saying best predictor of future behavior is past behavior works when you have a soul or lack thereof.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure about that in there, but yeah, if someone's done some pretty horrific things, just keep an eye open.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like we're more likely to repeat our pattern. So I think like for me, I think I'd be friends maybe with Chipped Spike and Soul
Yeah.
Spike. Maybe a one night stand, but I would not long term. He's just a little still unstable for me. I'm like
That's true.
I need calm
Well,
and boring because my life's
he's
already
kind
too
of
exciting.
like their sassy cat. that they kill him
Yes,
eventually.
Yeah.
And
It's
you've
just like,
met my
he's
cat.
harmless. Yeah.
yeah. And, yeah, and you've met my cat. My cat is very sweet, cuddly, and boring.
Yeah.
This is what I'm drawn to
But
in that kind of aspect. But
it's
yeah, I
I
I
don't,
agree. I'm glad you brought that up, Penny, because it was really
it is
unsettling, and it's
problematic.
like you really have to suspend disbelief and be like, cool, this is
But
like where they were
I
going with it.
think something that is undeniable watching this episode is the chemistry between the actors. Like it just
Yeah.
kind of woke me up because the last
Yeah.
episode is compelling in a lot of ways, and it's, the overall tone of it is obviously much more depressing, but
Yeah.
this episode represents so much of what is great about Buffy, and the dynamics between, like, Spike and Willow are super fun to watch. Harmony and Xander are fun to
Yeah.
watch. Giles and Xander, like, there are so many great comedic pairings that they play with in this
Yeah.
episode that bodes very well for the future of the series. And I feel like this is a turning point in the
Mm.
series in general. Like, once Oz
Yeah.
leaves and you've got Spike back, like, I guess it's a minor
Yeah.
spoiler that he becomes
A major character.
series
Yeah.
regular, but it's just, it kind of marks my favorite part of the
Yeah.
series, and
This
I'm
Aw.
excited.
Oh,
it's
it's
really
coming
fun.
up.
He does offer, when he first arrives, he offers Willow a choice between him killing her or him turning her.
That's so
And
nice.
I remember watching
I can
it
take your
the
life or
first
your
time,
soul.
right? I remember watching it the first time and being like, oh, is Dark Willow coming back? Like, I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
Dark
Oh
Willow and Spike
yeah.
together? Like,
That would
oh,
be
Borg
epic.
now, like the whole thing. Oh,
Diabolical. Oh my
Yeah.
I
gosh,
would have
could you
loved it.
imagine Dark Willow and Harmony? She would
Oh, she would just
destroy
destroy Harmony. Yeah.
Ugh.
Or like
Yeah.
Dark Willow and Harmony being a couple and pushing Spike out. I'd be
Oh, that'd
game.
be even better.
I'd prefer that.
I think,
That would
That would
or
be
be
great.
Willow and
fantastic.
Drusilla.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, they would
Oh,
be
they would be
epic.
so twisted. That
They
would be
Yeah.
would.
fantastic.
It would
It's
be
like
so.
the only thing that makes me sad about Willow's arc is that we don't get Vampire Willow. Like,
I
Vampire Willow is so fun,
Oh.
but we get other great Willow stuff, but Vampire
Yes.
Willow, I
That's
would love
true.
to have more of her. Like,
So
if they
much
could have
fun.
brought her back from an alternate dimension or something another time, I would have been
Yeah.
really happy. Like, I would have
Ugh.
liked to have seen that character meet some of the other characters. Like, she never met
Maybe
Spike, and that
maybe
would
we'll
have been
get her
so
in the
fun.
reboot. Maybe we can get her
Maybe
in the reboot. That'd be my game. And I want to shout out to you ladies for doing the previous episode. I thought you ladies did a wonderful job. I am one of the people who
Aw.
was like, ew, I don't want to do that. And
Yeah.
it's because I largely view this as the Seth Green punishment episode,
Yeah.
and so like I was like, ugh, I don't like it. And I'm glad you guys said on the pod too. No shade to the actress. I thought she did a great job for Veruca.
Yeah.
I can't stand the Veruca's character and what that brings out in Oz and everything. But you two ladies did such a fantastic job. I was actually
Thank
like,
you.
I should have
You.
been on that pod
Aw.
because
I
you
thought it came
ladies
out
made
well. I
me
was
want to
pretty
do it.
happy about it. Yeah.
You did such a great job with a
Ugh.
very challenging episode for a lot of fans. So I
It
thought
is
you ladies did a
not
wonderful
really an
job.
enjoyable episode. So
It's
that's one of
not.
those where it's like, I hope this does not come across.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you guys made me want to like rewatch the episode and have done the
that
pod
is a
with you guys
win.
and stuff. Yes, so like I thought you did a fantastic job with a very difficult episode in the fandom. So I just
Aw.
want to say that. And also, like as a side note, Willow, I adore you, my lovely,
Mm.
but get your shoes off your bed.
I
Did you
know.
notice that?
I
She put her
know. That was
dirty
driving
ass
me
shoes on her
crazy.
bed. Get your shoes off that. It bothered me every
I
time.
know.
That's so funny. I didn't even think about that.
My
Oh,
freshman
yeah.
roommate would have killed me if I walked past
What?
like the threshold of our dorm
Don't
with
bring
shoes
your dirty
on.
stuff in. Like what? So funny, really quick aside. After I was just like, oh, we're time crunch. My uncle, when he doesn't feel well, he does this really weird thing where like, cause he's like, okay, I do it with this weird thing that my family judges me about when I get sick, and I was like, ooh, bring it on. I like weird. So when he doesn't feel well, he will get dressed up to go to work and get into bed. And I was like, that's okay. Like, I
Interesting.
don't, yeah, I'm like, whatever floats your boat. He's like, yeah, but I also put on my shoes and get into bed. Like
Ew,
my dress shoes.
No.
And I was like, you've
Under the
lost me.
covers? No.
Under the covers.
Over the covers is bad enough. Under the covers? Come on.
That's what I told him. I was like, Uncle Gary, like I was with you till the
Unforgivable.
shoes. That's weird. And my Aunt Terry was like, right.
Yeah.
And I was like, it just threw me.
You know that saying, like, I wouldn't kick him out of bed for eating crackers? Like, I would kick a guy out of bed for bringing his outdoor shoes under the covers.
And also, don't eat your food in my bed.
Unforgivable.
I know.
I don't know. I shower at night before I get into bed. I do my sheets every week. My bed is like my clean, hygienic place. I don't even eat food in my bed. Even when I'm sick, I will eat food on my couch, curled up with the blankets and stuff. No, don't eat. I will kick people out. I don't care who you are. Don't eat in my bed.
The only food that I will consume in bed is ice cream. That's it. I don't know what it is, but that's the only one.
Well, there's no
that
crumbs.
is allowed. That's
I like
true.
hard candy. When I'm reading, I like a sucking candy. But like that's
legit.
very contained in your mouth.
Yeah,
like
there's no crumbs.
That's true.
There's no crumbs with that.
There's no crumbs.
Oh man.
So it's 4 minutes to 1.
I have only one other point.
All right, let's do Sam's one other point, and then I think I'm mostly done with like the non-spoiler parts.
Yeah, I don't have any real cohesive points other than yay, Spike.
Yeah.
Spike's so funny. I love Spike. These are just little things.
I know, right? Just like
Okay, Sam, what's your last point?
Pretty much pretty much the end scene where all the soldiers were all sweaty and getting debriefed by Professor Walsh. Yeah, I'm fairly certain that was like sprayed on sweat or whatever, but I could smell that room.
Yeah.
And that was like I get it because they were apparently like just in a fight and they're doing their debriefing, but I was like, oh, I can smell the locker room smell of what Professor Walsh has to stand in right now, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, that was
not fun.
But the reveal of first that Riley, Forrest, and Graham are soldiers, and I remember at the time being like, oh, that makes sense, and then we see initiative and it's like, oh my god, look at this huge tinfoil covered basement. And then when Professor Walsh turns around, I was like, what? Like the first time I saw it, I wasn't ready for that.
Me neither. I remember that I remember that as well, and I remember them getting into the elevator. It's some sort of weird core memory for me that really
with the green light.
Yeah, like I was just like,
wait a second.
Like my deep memories are being called forth from the library up on forward. I was like, I remember this.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, and yeah, the whole underground like initiative thing is really a lot of fun. We're gonna have several more episodes to talk about that environment because it's pretty hilarious. Like all the shininess and when Xander was like, ooh, the latest in fall fascism. That is a great line.
Yeah,
particularly still relevant.
Yeah,
I know. I was like,
the play on fashion and fascism is.
That was good.
Oh, sorry. I did have one more quick thing that I thought was kind of cool. I didn't know what Teutonic meant.
Yeah.
So
I was like, Xander would Xander
I know. I was like,
that?
Teutonic, what? So I had to Google what Teutonic meant, and what I loved is that there was a whole Reddit thread about Buffy and Xander talking about Teutonic on Reddit. On that specific scene, and there's a couple of different theories because of course that's Reddit, but essentially my favorite theory is that Buffy didn't really understand what that word meant,
Yeah,
and
I
so
don't think
she
she knew what it
misuses
was.
it later.
Yeah,
So-
Yeah.
it was cute.
I thought that was my favorite.
That was
So
clever.
I thought that was, there's a lot of really weird definitions about it, about an ancient Germanic military system, but and other
Yeah.
people were saying it's like because Riley has blonde hair, blue eyes, and is tall, it's very Germanic, very Aryan, and kind of He-Man kind of thing, and then that's why she calls him Teutonic later when he says that she needs to be protected. Don't know. I like all the theories. I like the one the best though, that she doesn't understand what Teutonic meant.
Yeah, I don't think she
Because I
knows
didn't,
what that
Buff.
word means.
She didn't. That is not. I have never in real life heard someone throw that word out there.
No,
Not
it's
once.
something I've only seen in writing.
Like an SAT word or in a book.
Yeah, I feel like in like studying European history,
Yeah.
it came up, but
Oh.
it's classic Buffy verse, right? To have these references that are not just pop cultural references, but also just like deep, deep cuts.
Oh yeah.
And to use them super casually is lovely. And I kind of got the sense that maybe Xander knows the word Teutonic because he's been reading a lot of those Giles books about like European vampires.
That's fun.
I like that. I like that
He
idea.
does all that studying, and he's been reading all these, because Buffy, she engages in some of the research sometimes, but for the most part, she just gets the summary and then goes and takes action on it. Xander has actually read a lot of those books.
Yeah.
True.
He gets it. He's like, I have to be your information, your Wikipedia, like Giles.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right. Sam needs to get going because of an awesome reason. And Kara and I are going to finish up the episode. So, listeners, if you suddenly don't hear Sam anymore, we still love her. She just had to go.
Yeah, we did not make her leave.
Yeah. And I think we're ready to move on to pop and not pop culture anyway. So, this is a good breaking point. And we're back with some pop culture, not pop culture references.
Xander says I put the semper in Semper Fi, and Semper Fi is an abbreviation for the Latin Semper Fidelis, which is the motto for the U.S. Marine Corps, meaning always faithful.
Willow says about Buffy, loves ice capades without the irony. The ice capades put on a variety of shows on ice with titles like The Magic of MGM. The production has been around for many decades. I have been to an ice capades show. It was fun.
Nice.
But it's pretty easy.
Yeah. I love that Buffy loves the ice capades. That's so cute. Another Xander comment. He mentions not being able to pass up weapons drills for the mobile infantry, which is a reference to the 1988 film Starship Troopers.
Is that film from 1988? God, it holds up well.
Is it? That's what it said.
Wow.
Not 1988. Hold on. I must have been looking at something else. I knew it wasn't 1988. It's 1997.
Okay, that makes more sense. But still, it's a great film that really does hold up.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah. Harmony says, like, I'd listen to the Sex Pistols. The Sex Pistols is a British punk rock band led by Johnny Rotten and originated in the 1970s, though they're still putting out albums. I don't think they are anymore. I think this is an old piece of trivia.
Yeah, that's old.
Spike was listening to one of their songs, sung by Gary Oldman from the soundtrack of Sid and Nancy the movie in Lover's Walk. And Spike's whole thing is sort of taken from
like Billy Idol.
The Sex Pistols. Sex Pistols is a big part of Spike's identity. And then supposedly Billy Idol actually copied Spike, not the other way around.
Is that in the show?
Yeah, that's season 7 though.
Right?
It comes up.
I remember that. God, I love Spike. Next up, Buffy makes the comment, "Who died and made you, John Wayne?" And John Wayne is, of course, the stage name for Marion Michael Morrison, who starred in nearly 200 movies throughout his 50-year career and who came to be seen as the typical American cowboy. Marion. I love that.
Yeah. Buffy says, "It's my late night stormtrooper pal." Stormtroopers, or Sturmtruppen in German, were an elite World War I assault infantry known for speed and surprise. George Lucas borrowed the term for Star Wars, and I would argue that the Star Wars version is much more famous.
Yeah, probably. I mean, most definitely. And then finally, the chip being installed in Spike's head is most likely a reference to the 1974 movie The Terminal Man, in which a homicidal character has a computer chip installed in his head to render him harmless.
I'm sure that 1974's computer technology was up to the task of altering someone's brain. No worries.
Totally fine.
And on to trivia. When Spike scrolls through the student register on the computer, the student names include names of crew members working on the show. J.D. Peralta, producer Marty Noxon's assistant, Eric Parker, assistant chief lighting technician, Jeff Pruitt, longtime stunt coordinator and husband of Sarah Michelle Gellar's stunt double, Sophia Crawford, Victoria Ruskin, set designer, Cindy Rosenthal, costume designer, Lisa Rosenberg, hairstylist, David Solomon, one of the directors, Tim Speed, lighting console operator / rigging gaffer, and Leo Solis, special effects.
I like that. They worked that in there.
That's cool.
JW was glad that James Marsters agreed to join the show full time because he felt that Charisma Carpenter having moved to Angel, the show lacked a character who was openly rude to the other characters, and he described it as having that awkward neighbor that is like, "Hi, can I borrow a cup of sugar?" and insult you. I mean, he does throw a nice little bit of healthy, back and forth in there.
He's a conversation catalyst, the same way Cordelia could be. The working title for this episode was Secret Agent Man, but the writers thought it'd be a giveaway to the revelation about Riley. I mean, it would also make me sing that song over and over and over and over. So I'm glad they didn't do that.
Very true. The vast set for the initiative, revealed for the first time in this episode, was filmed at Skunk Works, which is a complex where stealth bombers are built. And when describing the set, writer Doug Petrie said he was told by James Contner and JW to, quote unquote, go big, use your imagination, do it, go there. This is a big budget movie. And that's, I mean, I guess I could see it. It was a very large set.
Yeah. In that scene when we first see the initiative and there's that overshot, you can see one of the characters from the episode Go Fish is one of the captured demons in the initiative.
That's fantastic. So many different kinds.
Yeah. Actress Mercedes McNabb says that the hair-pulling, shin-kicking fight with Xander was actually one of my favorite on-screen fights. When asked if she had a stunt double, she responded, "No, it was all me. But we wore knee pads and shin guards," which was kind of ridiculous seeing it was just such a cheesy fight.
That makes it so much better that they're wearing knee pads and shin guards while doing that.
Well, because he kicks her right in the shin. Makes sense.
I love that. And also, according to Doug Petrie's commentary on the DVD, Graham Miller, one of Riley's friends, was named after a college friend of Petrie's. The original Graham Miller was Canadian, and while talking about Buffy with Riley, Graham references this by saying, maybe she's Canadian. I like that they kept that little bit in there.
Also in Petrie's DVD commentary, he reveals that after Spike attacks Willow in her dorm room, and the scene immediately cuts to commercial after a fleeting glimpse of the corridor outside with people who failed to hear her screams, he wanted viewers to believe that Willow had actually been killed. That probably worked. I just don't remember how it felt.
I don't remember my reaction. If anything, I probably thought that she was about to be Vampire Willow. For real.
So, a little bit more complicated than usual. Does it still slay?
I mean, overall, I love this episode. I think it's a great Buffy episode. It has a lot of what Buffy is known for. And I can forgive the, few problematic instances of dialogue. Because I still have a fun time watching it. So I say yes. I think it does. How about you?
I think that it has some of the funniest lines and scenes that are unforgettable and important to the whole Buffy like mythology. And the problematic parts don't age well, but they don't destroy the rest of the episode. As long as you can view it with some knowledge that some of that stuff is kind of it still slays.
That's true. Very true.
So I think it's time for us to hear from some other people. Let's go to the bronze and see if we could find some listeners to talk to us.
Bronze things. Things of bronze.
So, first up is Madavi. Please let me know if we are pronouncing that wrong. But Madavi says, when Graham sits down with them at the cafeteria in the very first scene, how did I never notice before how much food he has piled onto his tray? 3 milk cartons, 2 sandwiches, a few rolls, several cookies, and fries. I did not notice that at all. I'm gonna have to look. I guess they are growing men. Very, very active men, at
They
least.
probably burn a lot of calories soldiering around campus.
I remember in high school doing 3 sports, eating 2 or 3 sandwiches a day for lunch. So that checks out.
Yeah, I probably didn't notice it because at this point my brother was rowing crew and that was every meal.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's so funny. Go on to say, also I've been rewatching The Magicians, excellent choice, recently,
Love that
in
show.
which the actor who plays Forrest, Leonard Roberts, plays a minor but memorable character. I can't watch any scene with him without thinking, oh my god, it's Forrest all grown up. That's cute. Regarding Spike, I think on my original first viewing, this is the episode where it occurred to me, oh, hang on, he's like actually obsessed with the Slayer, isn't he? Oh, yes, he is. And lastly, anyone else feel like every comedic line from Xander in this episode came out forced and unnatural? Huh. It's interesting.
I don't know.
I did not process that. I might have to rewatch. And then says I can't talk. And finally, though, on the plus side, I was so proud when he totally had a chance to make an inappropriate comment about Buffy, and he didn't. She said, I need to go find something slutty to wear tonight, and walked away. He totally thought about it, but said nothing. That's true. You see that look in his eyes kind of light up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, never mind. I'm not going to say it.
He does later do a typical Xander thing where he acts a little jealous that she was even talking to another guy.
Yeah.
But,
bud.
Okay, Xander. Karen says, Riley is such a puppy in this episode. I love his interactions with Willow. She tries not to warm up to him, but he's a puppy. How can she resist? Also, I disliked Riley's friends the first time around. Now they're just horrible jock tropes. If Riley was real, he wouldn't be friends with these jerks. Or I could dream he wouldn't. And of course, the absolute best part is Willow and Spike. Possibly one of the top 10 comedic scenes in the whole show. I'm only 126. I wanted to add, did you see the Mark Blucas episode on Castle? He plays a guy with amnesia who may or may not be a murderer. I never for a minute thought he could be the murderer because he continues to be a puppy. Aww. I did see that episode of Castle. I don't remember how it turns out, though.
Mark Blucas just has a very genuine seeming personality. Like, he just seems like a good guy.
Yeah. He often plays like super good guys, which is why when he plays someone a little bit villainous, it's so satisfying because it's so against type.
That's true. It's like Harrison Ford in What Lies Beneath.
Yeah.
That spoiler alert for a late 90s movie, but that totally threw me off. I will never forget that.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Let's see. Oh, my turn. Next we have Coffee and Vodka. I love this greeting. He said, "Greetings, slappy slayers. Buffy's attending UC Sunnydale, most likely a flu." Starting that over. Buffy's attending UC Sunnydale, most likely a few blocks from the burnt down high school that smells like snake and bake.
Snake and bake.
Terrible. Oh, God. That the initiative doesn't know about Buffy the Vampire Slayer Summers isn't so much a plot hole as a plot canyon. Outside of this, A very busy episode with some nice comedic moments. That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
That they are so well versed in demonology and all of these supernatural creatures, and they haven't stumbled across Buffy like Slayer lore, unless they have stumbled across Slayer lore and discount it because they're more focused on the scientific aspects of everything.
Yeah, they discount all the lore.
Yeah.
And there is a point where Professor Walsh says to Buffy, "So you're the Slayer. We thought you were a myth."
Yeah.
And then Buffy gets to say, "Well, you were myth taken."
That is good. I remember that. Oh, I can't wait. This season's so good. But that is an interesting point, at least with Riley, and the fact that they don't even process it. And
Yeah.
Buffy has done so much personally. That's a fair point. But he said, not sure if I preferred Xander and Harmony's battle, Riley's angel-like gift of party gab, or Spike and Willow's succus interruptus. That's funny. No, Willow's speech of the natural progression of romantic relationships to Riley definitely took the cake, icing and all. A fun ep with a ton of plot points, which I should really rewatch. 3.5, bottomless black cherry soft serves, awkward accomplices, and severely singed. Singed or singed?
Singed.
Singed. Oh yeah, she's burning it. Good Lord, Kara. Anyway, and severely singed Sex Pistols out of 5. Peace and take care, coffee and vodka. Oh man, I like comparing Riley's flirting and awkwardness to Angel. That's pretty spot on.
Yeah. Dina says, "Oh, Harmony, you have no taste in music." That is not news. Such a delight to rewatch The Initiative. I don't love this season in general, but there are a few perfect episodes, and this is one of them. The comedic transitions between scenes are flawless, and humor in general is high. Willow comforting Spike over his impotence and, in turn, his assurance that she is totally biteable is priceless, although it's hard to watch the preceding attempt at blood rape.
Yeah, that's a yeah.
Blood rape is a great way to phrase that. I like that. The writers are planting the seeds for Spike and Riley's friction. We have our knight in shining armor who actually uses the word courting versus our favorite black leather clad Johnny Rotten loving ruffian. The simple phrase, "I gotta go see about a girl," that they both say links them from the start. Did anyone else think about Will Hunting when Riley uttered that phrase? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a very good Will Hunting line. But for the best part of this episode to me is Willow. Despite her grief, she puts Buffy's happiness first. Her love for her friend is stronger than her sorrow. Remarkably, that kindness extends to a near stranger, Riley, and later to an enemy. The examples she sets for viewers is wonderful and something I didn't catch in my late 20s. It can sometimes be brave to be kind, and I love how Willow shows that quality above all else, at least in this episode. You're a mentholated pack of smokes, Dina. Thanks, Dina. Great feedback.
That's funny. Oh man. All right. Next up from Piotr. He says, "Hello, Still Slaying. I'm blown away that you took time to address the questions I asked in my last feedback so thoroughly." Well, of course. Looks like there are many new angles I haven't considered before. Angle 1. I think I decided that there is no such thing as quote-unquote true nature. What we are is in a constant flux, and it depends on the hormones or experiences, our upbringing, chemistry of the brain, brain tumors, brain injuries, gut bacteria, parasites, evolutionary features. Yeah, everything plays a part, that's for sure. And he says, I would say the closest to defining the true nature we get is to see it as the sum of all of these elements that have unfolded and are yet to unfold in shaping us as a whole. Angle 2, disorders can be considered as identity. During the late 1800s, being ill and feeble was trendy. People, especially poets and painters, wore their tuberculosis like a badge of honor. Being on the verge of dying was an identity because death was trendy and mysterious back when people believed in spiritualism and mediums. That's actually where all the stories about vampires and other creatures, neither dead nor living, originated from. It doesn't matter if being a werewolf is considered a disorder. It can still be seen as an identity, even though it's just something beyond control of the infected. Something that just happens to them 3 nights a month. Wait, is an identity the same way? I can't control being Eastern European, but luckily it doesn't cause harm. Being a vampire is when the identity of a demon takes over the one of a human. Sometimes the identity is being taken over entirely. Zombies are walking corpses, so are those infected by cordyceps, but that's a whole other show. Thank you for helping me tackle these ideas better, Piotr.
And thank you for raising interesting questions
about
topics as deep and complicated as identity. I love it. Keep them coming.
For sure.
We have one voicemail from our good buddy, Anwin.
Woohoo!
Hi, Penny, Cara, and maybe Sam. How you guys doing? This is feedback for the initiative. Oh my goodness, I could not remember that Oz has a first name, and it's Daniel. How funny. Also, how hot is Giles in the turtleneck and leather jacket combo? Oh my god. Harmony is so much fun to watch. I could just watch her for hours. She's absolutely hilarious. I thought Riley was a little bit kind of nicey-picey milquetoast guy, but then when he punched Parker, now I just love him, and I remember how I loved him when I first watched this show 20 years ago. Willow is such a good friend. First she's really reluctant to help Riley, and then her friendship for Buffy just overcomes her own grief and bitterness, and she gives him really specific pointers about how to woo Buffy. It was just the cutest, absolutely cute. And then we get all these big revealing scenes of the initiative towards the end. I thought of Jason from the Talking Dead podcast because I was watching closely for their trigger discipline, and almost all of them had really good trigger discipline with their finger alongside the body of the gun, not on the trigger, except for Riley. His finger was on the trigger most of the time, so not a great call there from Riley. Anyway, it was awesome. Love you guys. Bye.
That's so funny.
That was the longest bye yet. That was awesome.
I know. That was good. I think about trigger discipline way too much in TV shows. It drives me absolutely insane when they have their finger on the trigger. It's like, nope, no.
Yeah. It's not that hard of a thing to learn either, but...
No. And it's one of the first things you learn.
Yeah.
So
it's funny that Riley's meant to be like their leader and the best of them, and he's the one without the trigger discipline.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the first time I watched this episode when it was airing live. I was not a huge fan of Riley. I thought he was boring and lame.
Yep.
And when I went back and watched it a couple years later, when I bought the DVDs, I had a completely different experience. I was like, why did I ever think Riley was boring? He's so sweet and he cares about Buffy, and he's human. It's, oh my god, he's awesome. I think it helps knowing where that story goes too. Like,
true.
I don't want to, we'll say it in the spoiler section, but I just, at the time, I think that not knowing where it was going made it harder for me to like him, but now I like him a whole lot.
I think that's also called maturing.
Oh, is that what I was doing? That's
possible. Because I could not stand Riley when I watched this as, what was I, 11? When this season was airing. Just like, bring back Angel or Spike. Like, they're fun.
Yeah, exactly. There was a guy that I liked around this, it was like a year after this season. I think season 5 was happening, but there was this guy that I liked, and my brother met him at a party, and I asked him what he thought of the guy. And my brother went, Riley's okay. And that was the complete end of my crush. I was like, nope, you're right. He's Riley. Done.
That's so funny.
It turned out to be very smart advice from my brother, although it wasn't really advice because that guy turned out to be a real tool.
Oh, gosh.
All right. That's the end of the main section of the podcast. Stay tuned for the Watcher's Diaries if you want to hear the spoilery talk. Although we were a little extra spoilery this episode. Whatever.
That's true. Oh, man. And of course, if you'd like to join the conversation, you can find all of our contact information at podcastica.com and in the show notes for each episode. Also at podcastica.com, you'll find links to our social media pages and all of our other shows.
I already mentioned it. Right now, I'm deep in Yellow Jackets, and they just aired episode 8, and it's a 10-episode season, so we're racing to the conclusion of that series, or this season of that series, and it's been a really fun season.
That has been about all I've been doing, too, is listening to your Yellow Jackets coverage. That and the Podcastica coverage of White Lotus. I still need to catch up, but they're doing an excellent job covering that show as well.
And White Lotus this season has been just really fun. I just started Daredevil, and I started listening to our good buddies Jim and Kirk covering Daredevil over on the Marvel TV cast for Podcastica, and I'm loving it because both of them are really long-time Daredevil fans. They have a lot of background to bring to the show, and we love them. So it's been really nice listening to them.
I love it. And of course, if you like what we do, give us a 5-star rating, a review, or a like, follow, and subscribe. And be sure to tune in next time when we'll be covering Angel Season 1, Episode 7, The Bachelor Party. Thanks, everyone, and...
I don't want you taking this the wrong way. It's just, I need a little alone time now. Alone.
Why?
I need space.
We're outdoors.
Emotionally. Emotionally.
That was such a cute scene. I love it. She's like, what if I take you home?
Yeah. It's a great scene. They're like dancing around each other with these secrets, these like sort of complimentary secrets that they don't know. It's very cute. All right, that's the end of the non-spoiler section. And if you want to avoid spoilers, I apologize for the previous ones that we ruined, but you should stop listening now.
It's too bad we can't sneak a look at the Watcher Diaries and read up on Angel. I'm sure it's full of fun facts to know and tell.
Yeah. That's too bad. That stuff is private.
Also, Giles keeps them in his office, in his personal files.
Most importantly, it would be wrong.
Okay, that's enough time. Man. On to some spoilery stuff and things. Let's start with one of the reasons why I like Riley so much more now is that eventually he leaves.
Yeah.
And so you can appreciate him because he's not forever.
Yeah, that does help. I remember watching it live and be like, oh my gosh, okay, I get it. This is a very nice boyfriend to have after Angel, but God.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, it's good for Buffy. I'm glad she had her Riley.
Mm-hmm. And he gets more interesting later in the season when we find out more about the initiative and everything. Like in the beginning, he's pretty vanilla, but stuff gets more fun towards the end.
Fun is a word. He's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and then I do enjoy when Giles is talking to Buffy and he shows her that sketch of the stormtroopers, and Buffy says, "That's your man," and he goes, "Your man, actually." And I was like, "Oh, ha 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 ha!" It's a little cute foreshadowing. That's precious.
So we are going to come to know, and they talked about it a little bit in the episode, that Spike has a chip implanted in his head that prevents him from harming human beings. And I was watching his escape scene pretty closely because somebody online was like, he hurt all kinds of people in the escape, but he really didn't. He sort of throws them around a little bit, but he also screams in pain several times when he's doing that. And ultimately, the reason he's able to escape is because he gets one of the doctors to inject whatever it is in another doctor. He doesn't actually hurt one of them. And
that was very lucky.
I also think it's pretty great that even though he's not able to physically harm humans with the chip, nothing stops him from verbally harming people all over the place. And, the loss of his ability to bite humans leads to him really relying heavily on the snark. and it leads to some really fantastic dialogue in the next couple seasons.
And it is really like Spike is so sharp and quick-witted. It is so much fun to watch. And thank God he isn't kept from insulting people because he'd be no fun.
Yeah, no, he's so funny and he's so spot on. He reads people really well. There's a scene coming up where they're like, "I think Willow's holding it together," and he's like, "Pfft, "No, she's
Yeah,
not."
yes. He's so intuitive. He is so observant, and that's why I love the ultimate like William the Bloody reveal cuz you hear him called that multiple times before you understand. Like I think the first time we're introduced to Spike, we hear the
Yeah.
William the Bloody
And you
description,
assume it's because he's so violent and has killed so
right?
many people. Like he
But he's
makes
just
a lot of blood.
bloody horrible at poetry instead, and
Yeah.
it's wonderful. I can't. Spike really might be my favorite TV character of all time.
He's
Like,
so undeniable, right? Like
yep,
love him or hate him, he holds your attention like nobody else. Like you
yep,
can't help watching him, and he's so memorable and he makes everybody else better. The chemistry
yep.
he has with other characters is always some of their best scenes as well. And then we get to learn in season 6 that he's a
True.
good singer too. It's like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm gonna have to try to contain the Spike gushing at least a little bit and think critically
Yeah, it's not
because
easy.
it's been a while since I've seen most of these episodes and I forget how much I love him.
Yeah. When we
So
get to
it's gonna
something
be
blue,
fun.
it's going to be completely unleashed love of Spike.
Yep.
I
Yep.
actually next week the next Buffy episode is Pangs, and that is a truly great Spike episode too. It's really he gets to be like, "You made a bear.
Oh,
Undo it."
yes.
Like
Oh, that is so good. You made a bear. Oh,
it's fantastic stuff. Really, really
such a
truly
good
great.
season.
And the Ouija board comment from Xander where he's like, "We could summon a demon and then we'd have something to do."
Mm.
Reminded me, of course, of the musical episode where it turns out Xander's the one who summoned the demon, and he
Oh yeah.
never has consequences
I
for that.
know. He was just kind of bored. He's like dancing. Dancing. It sounded fun.
Yeah, idiot. Idiot. It's interesting for me watching Yellow Jackets because a big part of our conversation about Yellow Jackets this season has been about which characters are stir the pot characters and which characters are
Mm.
reactive
Yeah.
characters. And I was like, Xander's a little stir the pot
Yeah.
jerk.
But like undercover stir the pot.
Yeah. He's all
He's
like, "Oh, I'm
sneaky.
harmless. It couldn't have been me. Whoops, it was." Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Damn it, man.
Yeah,
Damn it. That's so
very
funny.
frustrating.
But
The king
they're
of all pot stirrers is Spike, though. Spike can't
oh
sit still
yeah.
for a second without causing trouble.
He loves it. He's like a little puppeteer.
Yeah, he loves the drama.
And he's good at it. He is
Yeah.
so manipulative. And that sort of intuitive like observation is dangerous in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
And that's Spike.
He's so good at manipulating people, and he also is really good at after he gets chipped. He's very good at sort of lulling people into a false sense of security about him. Like they constantly forget that he's evil
Yep.
and have to be reminded.
Yep.
And when they catch him and they're like, "I can't believe you did this," he'd be like, "I am an evil."
Yeah. It's because occasionally, he's funny and they let their guard down around it.
Yeah.
To be fair, I would too.
Yeah, we all would. Especially
Like
in the episode in Pangs, I think is the episode where he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt
yeah.
and it's hard to take him seriously in it. It's so funny.
Ugh, so much good Spike stuff to come.
It's
That's why
yeah.
I do, season 4, I have it pretty much split in my head as pre-initiative and pre-Spike and post-initiative reveal and
Mhm.
post-Spike. And the second 2/3 of the season I like so much more.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
there's just they get so much material. Like there's so much more that they can do once we're aware of, the initiative and their identities. And there are some hiccups along the way, but I'm very excited. to cover the rest of this season.
I'm excited about it
For
too.
sure.
Although, as I said at the top of the episode, there's going to be a little hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be back. And if you guys want to send in feedback for the upcoming episodes, like send it to our email address and we'll just hold on to it till it's time. So don't let that stop you that we're not recording right now.
For sure.
Okay. That is the complete end of our show. Thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time, I am Penny.
And I'm Kara.
Keep slaying.